second team.
You are looking at the one-time figure skater, now poet and rhythmic gymnast, the national champion of the United States, Natalie LaCuesta, who to me, Elfie Schlegel, looks a much more experienced person than a 16-year-old. She just carries herself so much older than that.
Very mature, and she's well suited for this sport. Very tall. Unlike Kate, her teammate, Natalie started off in ballet. She started when she was 3 years old and then made the jump to rhythmic at age 7. Now, I'm talking to her before the competition. She said her strength is her classical style from her ballet training. The music is by Ennio Morricone, titled "The Wind Does Cry."
This is the 3-on-3, and she is the first of 3 American gymnasts to perform on what we're calling USA 2, the second team. Only the top 4 will make it to the final round, and that's coming up.
Now, Al, like artistic gymnastics, rhythmic does have bonus points as well, but the judges are asking for a whole lot. They say you only get bonus points if you have exceptional amplitude in your movements, exceptional choreography, good use of the music with your movements, and absolutely no mistakes.
Oh, is that all?
That's it.
From Wilmette, Illinois, Natalie LaCuesta. We'll see how she did when all 3 Americans have competed. Next up, we're going to have the star of the American Cup. And, I mean, he just hit the ball out of the ballpark. A dominating blowout performance by Blaine Wilson. From Columbus, Ohio, he's now moved to Colorado, having finished his 4 years' worth of education at Ohio State.
Blaine says his best quality in all of gymnastics is that he hates to lose. I asked him that question. He told me that answer about 10 times in a row. I hate to lose. And he will rarely lose at all on the still rings. He is so strong. With the new rules, these positions perfectly level and held. There's your traditional iron cross. He makes it look so easy, 4 or 5 strength parts in a row.
Tim, I was really surprised that he mentioned he wanted to retire after the '96 Olympic Games. He says now it's new life. I could sleep in the gym. I could train 24 hours a day. I feel that good.
Well, you know, there's really almost nothing you can ever deduct on Blaine Wilson, just that small hop on the landing.
I'm so tired, I thought my legs were going to buckle.
Yeah, he just looked exhausted to me, Al. I don't know.
He's a perfectionist. This is Lindsay Wing, who had a very easy commute to work. She's from Cypress, Texas.
First time I saw Lindsay was last year at the international team competition. She was still a junior gymnast, and of course the nationals did fairly well there. But since then, her coach, Debbie Kajcek, said, I felt that I've overtrained her. They're really trying to back off and really focus in on consistency in practice, hoping they'll pay off in competition.
Yeah, Debbie also mentioned that 3 weeks ago, she was actually in better condition, better shape. She just got a little bit more tired as days went along. She's struggling right here.
Mm-hmm. Notice the small little form breaks from the toes, the knees. Small little deductions that add up.
End of the routine, not enough power to get through that exercise. Lands very short. Her chest all the way down by her legs. That'll be a significant deduction as well.
All right, so the USA 2 team is done. Let's go back and look at some of the work on the rings by Blaine Wilson. Look at the muscular definition in his upper arms.
And just watch his body. It is perfectly horizontal right there. Shoulders in the rings, legs equal to where the shoulders are. That is very, very difficult to do it exactly like that.
Cheshire Cat look for Blaine Wilson. All is good. Let's check on the scores now for USA 2. Natalie LaCuesta, the rhythmic gymnast, gets a 9.755. Lindsay Wing, a 9.10, and Blaine Wilson a 9.7.
And you know, Al, that is a gigantic score for men's artistic gymnastics. No one's going to equal that.
USA 2 knocks out USA 1. They'll be in the finals, and we'll have that after these words from your local stations. Now, Elfie Schlegel, and like the French artistic gymnasts have selected Chinese coaching, the women, to elevate their level, she is coached by a pair of Russians.
Bringing in the masters of the sport. As we said in the past with the Ukrainians and the Russian athletes, they are so well trained in the ballet department. They bring so much in the choreography department.
The first athlete that we see with a different apparatus, the clubs.
Of course, you can well imagine the difficulty because there are two. They always, again, have to keep both clubs in constant motion. Ava was 6th all around at the 1996 Olympic Games, and she was 7th at last year's World Championships.
It may not be the most popular sport in the United States, but every time I see it, I can't believe what I'm seeing.
And you know, these athletes are used to doing this style of competition in Europe. It's very popular over there, this 3-on-3 type of an event. Gymnasts are getting a little extra lift in their leaps because of the spring floor. The rhythmic gymnasts are not used to training or competing on a spring floor. Typically, it's just the carpet on cement or just plywood. Playing right to the judges.
With the clubs, that's Eva Serrano from France.
19-year-old Eva Serrano of France. And now we get to Hulk on the high bar, Dimitri Karpenko, 3rd in the American Cup last week. He once competed for Russia, now competes for France, and that opens up a whole debatable can of worms.
We've been talking about the coaches that have left their countries to travel all over the world and spread gymnastics knowledge. Well, the athletes have done the same. Dimitri, a great performer on high bar. He'll connect this element right here into a major release skill. I tell you, Al, a couple of years ago, that would have been thought to have been impossible. He does it again. Very, very difficult Kovacs release skill. Beautiful, elegant combination right there. Now, this is a big guy. He is one of the biggest gymnasts out on the floor, and he makes a dismount like that look so easy.
Awesome.
No extra giant to give him some speed right out of a pirouette, triple back somersault.
Once Russian, now a French citizen. The question is, when the flag goes up, do you still shed a tear? Now let's go to Elvira Teza. Elvira had a very, very disappointing American Cup, Elfie.
Yeah, she won last year's American Cup, which was quite surprising, but this year really had a rough ride. But balance beam is her event. This was her best apparatus in the American Cup. No wonder she was 8th on beam at the 96 Olympic Games and 6th at the World Championships. But more importantly, she has a skill that is named after her.
And it comes up right here. This is amazing.
Always amazes me every time I see her do that.
It's like, how many times does she have to do that in practice?
We have to keep reminding people that that balance beam is only 4 inches wide.
With the rule changes, we used to see gymnasts doing 3 layouts in a row. Not going to see that anymore. This Kodo point encourages the athletes to showcase a variety of elements.
And that's been exciting because in the past we've seen a lot of gymnasts just play up on their strengths, which could be back tumbling or forward tumbling. Now we see a great deal more. Full twisting skill. That's incredible. Looking just a little tentative on what is her best event. Just the dismount. 2.5 twist. Little hop to the side. That will be a deduction.
Elvira Teza of France. And I think the French are headed to a very good score here. And we keep referencing, by the way, the American Cup. This is where Elvira Teza came to defend her title last week, and the athletes just stayed here to hold this 3-on-3.
And that is amazing.
What more can you say about that skill?
But look at it like this, and you'll see exactly what has to happen right here.
Timing.
Remarkable.
You know, that's someone who just wasn't content to do things the way they had been done before.
And, you know, that is the spirit of gymnastics, to do something better, but also to do something that has never been done before.
All right, let's see how the judges view the French threesome. Serrano, a 9.840. Those rhythmic scores, again, have been way higher than the artistic scores. Karpenko gets a 9.475. Teza gets a 9.10. Well, the question now is, what is the Russian response? Leonid Arkayev has always had a golden one in big events like this.
Today, the new language of business is...
If you want to keep up to date on everything about the Olympics, there's a new show that leads all of NBC onto the Sydney Games and beyond. It's the Olympic Show, hosted by Dan Hicks, and it airs every weekend on CNBC. You're looking at a Katerina Fokina, 17-year-old member of the Russian threesome here in the International 3-on-3 Gymnastics Championships. Final round, Al Troutwig, Bess Ruyak, Tim Daggett, and Elfie Schlegel. And Elfie, she is obviously going to perform with the ribbon. Where does this rank in terms of difficulty in rhythmic?
I think most rhythmic gymnasts probably have an easier time with the ribbon. And what I want to say about this apparatus is you probably associate rhythmic gymnastics with the ribbon, I think, because of the color, the length of the ribbon. It really is a beautiful apparatus. This is a fun piece for a Katerina. It's from a Sherlock Holmes movie, she tells me. One thing you should notice is right there, she is playing up to the judges. So much of this routine has been choreographed in front of the panel.
Flexibility just almost unthinkable in this sport.
Tim, did you ever try this just for the heck of it?
Actually, no.
Okay.
Because of the length of this apparatus, it is difficult to keep it in constant motion. You're never supposed to see the ribbon drag on the floor.
She's never been to a world championship or an Olympic Games, so she, like many of the athletes here, thinking Sydney.
Great choreography, great expression, not to mention very difficult and intricate skills.
Like the ending of the routine, the release of the ribbon, and then sort of a get back here.
The boomerang.
That's a Katerina Fokina. Now we'll focus on Alexei Bondarenko.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, for member number 2.
And although Blaine Wilson dominated the American Cup and easily won, this is a definite up-and-comer in the sport of gymnastics, was second at the most recent World Championships, has all of the goods to be in contention for several medals in 2000. Very difficult opening run. He'll do a double twisting, double somersault. Nicely done. A lot of power on that, just those small hops back. This pass actually worth double what that pass was worth. Very tricky combination. 3 aerial elements done in a row. Floor exercise is all about combining things.
Oh, this is awesome.
And watch this, Al. He'll go into what's called a Russian skill 3 times around on his hands. Very, very difficult and completely exhausting. Obviously, the strength part is a requirement.
His coach, Leonid Arkayev, says he isn't necessarily Russia's biggest hope because a country can't rely on just one person. And that's Arkayev being Arkayev.
Definitely. Bondarenko had problems with this dismount. As we said, very, very tough endurance-wise. A little bit better today, but still you see a little bit of fatigue. His legs really not strong enough to handle that landing. Takes a hop back and off to the side as well. That'll be a couple tenths of a deduction.
Well, Tim, his legs may not be strong enough, but his hands, those are made out of steel. Now the third and final member of the trio, Anna Kovaleva.
She's exceptional on this event. She was one of only 2 athletes at the American Cup that had a start value out of a 10.0, and at this point of the season, that is incredible. Watch this mount. What makes this routine different from all the others is she connects every single element. Interesting combination right here. Forward elements in combo. Beautiful. Difficult because it's a blind landing.
15 years old. First trip overseas for a major competition, so her head's filled with all sorts of things.
This element coming up really neat. Jump down to the beam with a 3/4 twist.
It's a little like the Teza.
A little bit her own rendition, I guess you could say. But as Elfie mentioned, the thing that is so neat about her is she does everything in combination. She just keeps moving. She also has wonderful lines, beautiful extension.
And it really is so refreshing because we're exposed to there again, another very difficult element, one of the toughest on this event. We're exposed to so many beam routines, that same element twice. And it's just nice to see an athlete take a little bit of risk every now and then. This is going to be a good score, just the dismount. Double tuck.
Very nice string of performances by the Russian team here at the International 3-on-3 Championships in Fort Worth, Texas. And now Anna Kovaleva will join her 2 teammates, and the scores will be posted. And there's Arkayev, the powerful coach.
And look at this right here. This is a front flip with a half twist or a Barani. Very, very difficult. 4 inches wide, the balance beam. Not only is she flipping, but halfway through she starts that twist, makes it even more critical that you leave the beam exactly square.
She's smiling up there as if to say, well, guys, what'd you think? How did I do?
Well, it should score high.
And now here we go. The scores for the Russian team. 9.69 for Burkina with the ribbon. Bondarenko on the floor, 9.40. And Kovaleva, a 9.50.
That's surprising. That's low. Way too low.
28.590. So the Russian team is still better than France as the judges tabulate things. Coming up on NBC's coverage of the International 3-on-3, we'll see how the Russians hold on as the American team gets set to perform with Blaine Wilson, the anchor.
Other toothpaste? Forget them. I found the zing of Arm & Hammer Peroxicare.
New improved Peroxicare. It's today's most potent baking soda and peroxide toothpaste because it has more baking soda cleaning power than all others combined.
Love those germ-killing bubbles.
Singing bubbles tell you germs are killed, so teeth are clean. Breath is fresh.
The zing makes my mouth feel healthy.
New improved Peroxicare. Today's most potent baking soda and peroxide toothpaste. Feeling is believing.
Announcing the all-new home video, Gymnastics Golden Moments. Call 1-800-664-6688 to relive the unforgettable memories from your favorite American superstars. Rigby, Retton, Connor, Gaylord, Zemeskal, Dawes, Miller, and many more. Call 1-800-664-6688 to order Gymnastics Golden Moments for only $19.95 plus shipping and handling. All gymnastics legends, all on one video. 1-800-664-6688.
He wears it all the time. It's not just his favorite shirt, it's his lucky shirt.
Championships. It's the U.S. team and the reigning senior national champion Natalie LaCuesta, and she will perform with the clubs. This is a tough apparatus, isn't it, Elfie?
Yeah, it is. Because of the two clubs, you have to keep them in constant motion. You can't lose sight of either one. Now, this routine is very different from Natalie's first routine, which was a classical style. She prefers that. This is more of an upbeat version. The title of this piece is Don't Cry for Me, Argentina.
And ladies and gentlemen, Tim Daggett has a confession he'd like to make.
Well, actually, Al, when you asked me earlier if I ever messed around with this, we toured after we won the gold medal in 1984, and throughout that entire tour, there were rhythmic gymnasts with us, and all the guys and girls would mess around with some of the apparatus, and I didn't do it at all until one of the last stops in Philadelphia. I picked up one of the hoops and was using it like a hula hoop, and the next day, front page of the sports.
Serves you right.
I tell you.
So you lied.
Yes, I did.
Russia's in first place. France is next. Still to come, Ukraine.
One of the toughest things with the clubs is trying to keep the clubs in unison when you toss them in the air.
Okay, Natalie Cuesta helped the U.S. get into this final round, and now she gets them off to a good start here. Next up for the United States will be Blaine Wilson in floor exercise. And this is a man who just did so well in dominating last week's American Cup. Let's go to Beth Ruyak.
Thanks, Al. Blaine Wilson won the American Cup earlier this month for the second year in a row, and again, no one was even a close second. He's training right now 7 hours a day at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado and says he would sleep in the gym if he could. So we talked to him earlier before this event about what he wants in Sydney and about the memory that's still chasing him from last year's World Championships. World Championships in 1997. You're leading the world after 3 events, and you're standing on the podium waiting for high bar. What happens at that point?
I got up on the podium for high bar, and it seemed like an eternity before I got up. And I didn't get down off the podium because I figured no big deal. Then I started to question, whether or not I was going to do well. Was I going to catch my release and this and that? And next thing I know, I was on the floor, and then I just fell apart from high bar to floor to pommel horse. So
was that self-pressure? Is that what got in there?
Yeah, that was pressure that I put on myself. Really, I mean, Pete wasn't putting the pressure on me. It wasn't the judges, it wasn't the TV. It was just myself questioning whether or not I could do what I know I can do. And it ended up backfiring on me. So.
Isn't that remarkable, though, that change in how you were thinking completely changed that whole meet for you?
Yeah. It's amazing, but I look at it now, and I look at it as maybe it wasn't my time to win. And that's why I changed my whole way of thinking, way of gymnastics. I believe that I can compete with anybody, even if I do make mistakes. It's possible to win. It doesn't matter.
That sounds much more like something driven from inside of you rather than something a coach is developing from the outside in.
No, that's something that I have. I don't like to lose. I wasn't brought up to lose. And I'm sure nobody likes to lose, but I mean, it's a big part of me. I hate losing. And I'm going to do everything possible to win.
What were you taught about competing and about competitors?
Well, when you're on the floor, everybody's your enemy. If you're competing individually, I love John Roethlisberger, but I want to beat him. I love John McCready. I think he's great, but I want to beat him too,
What about not working with Peter every day and not seeing him every day?
It's hard, after spending 5 years with Pete, it's definitely hard. He got me to where I was going, got me to the Olympic Games, and he got my gymnastics to a different level.
Inside, Blaine, are you a nice guy? Are you a fighter? What do you think you are?
A little bit of everything. I like to have fun. I like to be a nice guy, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, I'll be a fighter. If I'm losing, I'm gonna try and get every point I can out of every routine. know, when it's all over, you know, I'm a nice guy. I leave it on the competition floor.
So what's the strategy between now and Sydney to fight your way to that goal of your own medal and a team medal?
It's all about going back to the gym and working on the stuff that you need to do, especially with your coaches. You got to get with your coaches. I mean, I've only been with Lana Vitale for 2 months, and so far, we're working well together. And I need to find out exactly what it is that it's going to make my routines start at a 10 and be at a 10. Even though I'm at a 10 right now, things could change in 2 years, you know, and that's what it's going to take.
Isn't it also about knowing it really can happen?
Yeah, you have to believe that it can happen.
And do you?
I believe every day that I walk in the gym that it's possible. You know, it is possible. We're better, we're better, but we can compete with everybody. So it just doesn't matter. As long as you believe that, you know, you'll be all right. If not, you just go sit in the stands and watch.
Tim Daggett, we've been watching, and how good is Blaine Wilson? How good can he be?
Well, actually, he is very, very good. He has got what it takes to be competitive in the world. And, you know, some people might be thinking it might be too soon. You have to remember, gymnastics is a sport that is judged by people, and reputation matters a lot. So it's important for him to establish himself right now, a couple years out from Sydney, as one of the challengers for an Olympic gold medal.
What can Blaine Wilson do for the U.S. in this event? We'll see in a moment when we return to Fort Worth, Texas.
Frazier's got a cousin and he's Greek and there's a wedding. Somebody like Styles, hey, I bet she's gonna catch him. Put those back. Yes, there's lots of running and a bunch of juggling. Frazier's up to something.
Why don't we do some bouzouki dancing, huh?
First the Trojan War, now this on an only Frazier Tuesday on NBC. Hey!
She's young and in love, but her family hates her guy. Think it's an old story? It is.
What she wants with a 51-year-old man, I do not know.
On the next Montel Williams show, Stacy says age doesn't matter in her marriage.
You're willing to give up your own family on that?
Sure would.
But her sisters say Wayne is nothing but trouble.
No, it has.
Dave Calabro Sports, only on Channel 13 Eyewitness News.
A wink and a smile from Anna Kovaleva. She has had her score increased by the judges from a 9.5 to a 9.6, making it a little bit more difficult for Blaine Wilson and the Americans to challenge the Russian score.
Well, no question it was the most difficult beam routine we've seen so far, and I think the judges just reviewed the notes and realized that the start value was too low.
And talking about start value, Blaine started from a 10 at the American Cup, did two very tricky and intricate tumbling runs back to back. Here's the first one. Oh, but
what happened?
Right off the bat here, I don't know why, Al, but he just did a laid-out somersault for his third acrobatic element. He needs to do a 1.5 twist on that laid-out somersault to bring in those bonus tenths.
So this is not as difficult a routine that he used to win the American Cup?
Well, actually, right now, it is nowhere near as difficult as what he did at the American Cup. I don't know why. I don't think it's that Blaine is injured or that he's tired. Maybe he just felt a little bit off and couldn't make the correction. He scored a 9.625 last time out on floor exercise. It'll be nowhere near that with this exercise.
So it's the equivalent of a figure skater turning triples into doubles for an exhibition.
Exactly. That's exactly what Blaine's doing, but big dismount. Full twisting double somersault. Pretty good landing, just that hop back, but...
Blaine Wilson for the USA.
Two-time national champion. Two-time NCAA champion.
Now watch this. His first tumbling run right here. Moving forward 3 elements in a row. There's a laid-out somersault. Now he usually does this with 1.5 twists. That gives him 5/10 of bonus. Right there, he only gets 1/10 back.
Blaine, one of the 10 finalists for the James E. Sullivan Award, top amateur athlete in the U.S. He seems pretty loose. He's with Natalie LaCuesta, awaiting the performance of Lindsay Wing. She'll be on the balance beam. Elfie, how has she fared recently on this apparatus?
This is a good event for Lindsay. Pay attention to her mount. She does a round off onto the board, and it's followed by 3 laid out elements. Very, very difficult to do. There's the first.
Oh, way, way off.
She's supposed to follow that skill by 2 other laid out elements, which would give her incredible bonus points, but of course the fall is a 5/10 deduction.
And another big skill right here after the fall. Very difficult.
She's just not on, having a really tough time today. Lindsay really impressed me last year at the team competition in Cincinnati. I just thought, wow, this beam routine has got it all. She really is known for taking the risk of doing a variety of skills, very difficult ones.
What's it like at this point? You've had 2 bad mistakes. Your brain must be exploding.
Well, part of her, I'm sure, wants to jump off the beam, but, you know, she has to finish up and try to redeem herself. I mean, that's a full 10th of deductions already, but, you know, it's tough, no question about it. She's still gaining a lot of experience. Her coaches had mentioned earlier that part of her problem is being consistent in competition, and we're seeing it. The last half of this beam routine, you wouldn't even know that Lindsay had fallen twice already. Very calm. She's picked up nicely.
That's Lindsay Wing for the USA.
So Lindsay Wing and the USA is done, and with the 2 falls, it's just an impossibility for them to challenge France and Russia.
Now watch this. Her shoulders are just out of line. She's supposed to do 2 more acrobatic elements. There is no way that she can even stay on the beam. Never mind do another 2 elements in the air.
Very difficult skill, this Arabian. Again, keeping the shoulders and hips in line with 4 inches of balance beam.
Every time you fall off, 5/10 of a point. That's a point in total. Takes Team USA out of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Lindsay looks quite miserable. LaQuesta and the Rhythmic score 9.755. 7.275 for Lindsay Wing, as Blaine Wilson got an 8.85 for his floor exercise. So disappointing overall for this USA team, no doubt about it. Still to come, Ukraine, and the woman who was one of the stars of the opening round, Viktoria Karpenko, the winner of last week's American Cup here in Fort Worth. Back in a moment.
I love sharing secrets with my friends. So when Holly asked how I keep my skin so soft, I told her about Dove. Share the secret and get free Dove for you and a friend. Dove's 1/4 moisturizing lotion is the secret. It absorbs into my skin to keep it soft and smooth. Share the secret. We'll send your friend a free sample of Dove, and you'll get 2 full-size bars free, so you can both enjoy soft, beautiful skin. It feels good to share. Call 1-800-729-5857 for details.
When I bite into a York peppermint patty, I get the sensation I'm riding the luge, racing at over 100 miles per hour as the wind whips over my body.
York peppermint patty. Get the sensation.
Announcing the all-new home video, Gymnastics Golden Moments. Call 1-800-664-6688.
We take you back to the Olympic Games, the Centennial Games of Atlanta. The bronze medal winner in rhythmic gymnastics was Elena Vitrichenko.
You know, Al, she was the buzz back in Atlanta. A lot of people thought that she would upset the Russians. She won the bronze medal. I asked her about the experience, and she felt in her heart she was very proud of the medal, but felt she could do better. Now she's set her sights on Sydney, the 2000 Olympics, and she's going to share that dream with her mother.
And here she is. Last nation to go. Right now it is Russia, France, the United States. And we will see Elena and her 2 teammates in this international 3-on-3 gymnastic championships.
When you talk about exceptional rhythmic gymnasts, it's Elena Vitrichenko. This is a very dramatic style floor routine. Of course, she could carry any type of style that you throw at her. But watch the type of emotion that she projects in this routine.
after the bronze in Atlanta. She went on and won the World Championship last year, 1997. So, Elfie, she is accomplished. Her routine is beautiful, but I think there's one thing we have to address here. The fact that her mother is her coach, not a problem. The fact that her mother is a judge in this competition is most strange, and I think it strikes at the credibility of the sport.
But I think with this athlete, she's going to score high points regardless if her mom is judging at this meet or not.
But that's unfortunate because she is going to dominate this competition, but it's a little bit tainted, and there's no reason for that. Bad decision on Ukraine's part.
Well, she is a treat to watch, and it would be safe to say she is superior in every aspect of her gymnastics. You know, the judges are looking for exceptional choreography, exceptional skill elements, working well with her music. There's her mother.
She looks proud, and you know, a mom or a total stranger would give her a great score. It's just a very odd-looking scenario, no doubt about it. So Yelena Vitrichenko from Ukraine has started things off with a very clean program in rhythmic gymnastics, and now we're going to go to Valery Goncharov. And you remember in the opening round, Tim Daggett, we sort of called him the loose link, so to speak, in this trio.
Well, I got to tell you, we go from something that is soft and beautiful and dramatic, like the women's ribbon, and he's going to showcase what I think is the most radical skill in gymnastics, and it's not even that, and that's pretty radical. Check this out right here. Full twisting Kovacs. Oh. Unbelievable. I'm sitting here, I can't even keep still. That is so difficult. Just the dismount here. Triple back somersault, knees totally together. Wait a minute. What?
An odd little wobble.
Yes, I think he was a little dizzy, Al, to be perfectly honest. This is, it's just so incredible that this element is actually being done by more than one person in the world. Look at all that's going on over the bar with a full twist, and somehow he's got to be able to put his hands back on the bar. That's remarkable.
What's it like the first time you do that? That's what I want to know. Here's Viktoria Karpenko, winner of the American Cup last week here in Fort Worth, Texas. So she comes in with confidence supreme.
It's amazing how she's handled the competition. Here's a young lady that missed out on the '96 Olympics. She missed out again at last year's World Championships with 2 broken fingers. And yet what's impressed me about her is just the way she handles competition. She is so cool about it.
Actually, the day before they were getting on the plane to travel to the World Championships, broke those fingers and couldn't go.
Her synchronization with the music is outstanding.
Not to mention the tumbling.
Well, say this, guys, the team from Ukraine held nothing back. They showed us the explosiveness in the high bar. They showed us the strength and choreography here and enormous grace in floor exercise.
Well, just like the Ukrainians, there they go again, setting the trends in women's gymnastics.
Anna Kovaleva of the Russian team now is just going to have to wait and see. Leonid Arkayev, the Russian coach, did Ukraine eclipse their score?
Well, that was an amazing floor exercise routine. As you mentioned, all of the elements. And look at this opening tumbling run. This is amazing. She does this like she's doing it out of a back handspring, Arabian double front, but watch the landing.
Just puts a stamp on it.
Kerpow.
And in sync with the last beat of the tune. Here are the scores now for Team Ukraine here in Fort Worth, Texas. They look pretty confident. Yelena Vitrichenko with the smile.
A glowing mom right there.
They've got it. Here it is officially. Vitrichenko, a perfect 10. I'm so shocked that, you know, used to be used to seeing them once in a while. Not these days. 9.050 for Goncharov, who's taking the biggest bow for the lowest score. Karpenko with a 9.750.
Look at those women.
How about Rhythmic scores higher the entire competition, so maybe it's not totally surprising, but she gets a perfect 10. The unfortunate part, her mom, one of the judges again. So there it is, a total of 28.80. It was a long trip from Ukraine to the United States here into the middle of Texas. Thanks, Mom. And it was a successful journey. So, at a meet like this, nations make statements. And here, Ukraine has made theirs.